Okay, I'm Larry.
I'm Doris.
Born in 1934, March 3rd, and my parents was Thelma and Rufus Davison. I had one sister that is deceased now, and that was Carolyn. The big thing in my life was softball. You know, I played ball that's all I ever did until I got out of high school. I had a happy life. I guess we was poor, but I didn't know it. Dad, I know he told me when I was born, and the first job he had, he made $1 a day. So, times was real different than what they are right now.
I remember it was hard. I remember taking food stamps to the store to get groceries. It was just hard. My father left when I was 3 months old. She was left with 5. She was left with 5 girls to raise by herself. She made $17 a week. And life was hard, but we made it. My eldest sister was 15 years older than I. So there was the older ones weren't around, So it was just my Dorothy and myself. Well, we used to roller skate. We had the type of roller skate where you clamp it on your shoe. We did that a lot. We'd go down to the branch and catch crawdads and let them go. Mother worked so hard that she slept on Sunday morning to try to catch up. So she never took us to church, but she was a staunch Baptist. There was a bus that came by our house from the Nazarene church, and they asked Mother if my sister and I if they could pick us up for church. And they picked us up every Sunday right in front of our house and dropped us off. And that was my first experience with church. It's not where I gave my life to Christ, but that was my start. And I still have a little birthday book that I was given for 3 months perfect attendance that I treasure. I gave my life to Christ when, after my sister and I and Mother moved to Springfield. I went back that summer. She invited me to go to her church camp, which was Christian church camp. And that's where I gave my life to Christ. But then later on, I had I don't know what you call it, I had another experience, a stronger experience with Christ.
Well, Mom and Dad, they would go to church, but they never did talk about anything about church or Jesus. They sent me to Sunday school, and then they would come to church. I would have to usually sit with my grandmother Davison, and she loved Jesus very much and let me know it. She talked to me, and my parents never did, but she did. I went to this Sunday school church until, I guess when I was a teenager, and then I guess I stopped. I don't really remember going then. I just kind of skipped it. I don't remember if Mom and Dad kept going or not.
I worked for Consumer Market as a checker. He was a bread man. Was that Wholesome or?
With Colonial.
With Colonial Bakery. And he would come in to stock the bread, and we just got acquainted that way. And
she always checked me in. It wasn't anybody else.
The gang that worked there, we didn't get off until 10 o'clock at night, but we would go out to Doling Park and skate. And so we invited him because he liked to skate. And that's how we got acquainted and started dating. Well, first of all, during the slow time, I was at the back stocking the shelves. It was right before closing, and he came back and asked me if he could take me home. I said, well, I can't tonight because my mother's sick and I need to go home. Well, I thought he would never ask me again, but he did. We started dating. And I guess we dated 3 months.
Something like that.
And then we got engaged.
I'm sure that I didn't get down on my knees, did I?
I'm not sure you ever did.
Well, I had to, but I was thinking about that. I had to ask her, but I just don't remember. She was kind of dating another guy at that time, and he was in the...
We were both on the rebound.
He was in the service, and she'd made plans to fly out. I don't even know where it was. And I'd kind of asked her before, and she said she'd let me know when she came back. And I met her at the airport, and I remember she said that she was going with me, and I don't know, I guess it started from there, right?
Must have. It must have. I remember when we got married, I had about 15 minutes before the ceremony started, and I didn't have anything to do, and I went in the chapel and knelt down and prayed. And I asked God to bless our marriage and to make it work. He's faithful. Prayer is a very important part of my life. I think it's one of the gifts that God has given me. I don't know how to explain it. It's just, he doesn't always answer in the way we want, but he knows best.
Well, when we got married, it was nothing but work. I remember I was at the bakery, and that was getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, getting home at 5 or 6 at night. So there wasn't much, we didn't have much life, did we? And you was working too. And I can't even remember. We just had one car. I don't know, it just made it from paycheck to paycheck. Made, you know, it just, back then it was, you know, we was talking yesterday about it. It was making like $70 every 2 weeks or something like that, you know, and gas was 15, 16 cents a gallon. So it was just a lot, you know, $1 went someplace then, where now it doesn't. But I know we had a rough life starting out.
My mother had a stroke. I had a miscarriage.
We was in a apartment at the up top floor. I can't remember, it wasn't very big, but Doris brought her mother home, and they let us have a room up, and it wasn't in the attic, or, and Doris took care of her mother there as long as, till she got real bad. And that was a hard time for her. And then Jan and Chris was born, and we, I can't even remember until I started going up in McDonald's. It was pretty rough up until that, you know. I went to work for McDonald's and had 3 kids, and we was living on $76 every 2 weeks. God has always had my life, and seemed like even from job to job, and even my wife and children, you know, wasn't really looking for a job when I went to work for McDonald's. 2 friends just called me and wanted to know if I wanted a job. I wasn't even looking for a job. And you can see where that led to, and I think that was something that God took my hand, and maybe it was because Mom was a great Christian. I don't know. He was looking after her and not me. I don't know. But anyway, I don't think I knew who Jesus was, but I never accepted Jesus till I was probably 31, 32 years old. Mom took me to a revival at Shrine Mosque in Springfield.
We had a group of friends, and we had a share group. We were discussing that this Bill Glass crusade was coming, and this one gal said that she hoped to go every night. It was a week-long revival. I said, I'd be thankful to just get to go one time, thinking that I wouldn't get to go. And when I mentioned it, he said yes, so we went. And the other couple only went once or twice.
Then we started I started going to the share group. It was a Bible study, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was once a week, so, it was part of my growth too, it just took a while with me. And I accepted Christ then. The most important thing that led me to Christ and doing all this was my lovely wife, Doris. She never did, as far as I know, never did mention that I needed to know Jesus or anything. She never talked to me about that, but just watching her life and what she did is probably the biggest thing that was a big play in my life, knowing Jesus more and more. She's been a very good example. I think probably the greatest thing is me marrying Doris. I think that had to be something that God put her in my life, and then from there on, it was roses. And then we had 8 wonderful, spoiled grandkids that we enjoyed and had a lot of fun with. Probably, we did more with our grandkids than we did our kids, right? Because we had the means to do it with. Not that we loved them anymore, but we really enjoyed all 8 grandkids.
Our children and our grandchildren were our life.
Yeah.
And still are. I never had a grandfather or a grandmother on either side of my family. I never had a dad. I had a couple of aunts and uncles, but I never knew them because I think they might have been on Dad's side and we never visited them. I didn't have family other than my sisters and my mother. And so I always wanted that for my kids.
Maybe it was a gift from God, I don't know. But it has worked out great, and we're very thankful for it. I'm sure there's a lot of things that we did then we don't want you to know now. I'm not telling all, are you?
Yourself.
There's a few things I think that it should be kept private. If you put Jesus first, then it's going to make all them other things a little bit easier.
Happiness is happenings, and joy is Jesus. There's a difference in happiness and joy, and Jesus makes all the difference.